So we're going to be rating the best TVs that you can buy in 2024 from 2023. The reason for doing this is not everybody is going to basically throw away a ton of money. And by a ton of money, I mean over $5,000 for these 100-inch monsters, okay? I get it, 10,000 nits is exciting, yada yada, 5,000 nits, so on and so forth. But let's come down to planet Earth, where there are still excellent options, and if you really don't want to wait and you just need something right now, let's just not filibuster and dive straight in and get right to the point. So smack a like on the video for not wasting your time. So number one on this list, and the best TV that you can get right now from 2023, because I didn't actually crown a champion of 2023, but I'll go ahead and do that now with the Samsung S95C. The reason for this is the One Connect box is truly unrivaled. There's nothing like it. It allows you to be able to place your consoles, your Blu-ray players, whatever you have, right, anywhere you really want that has a plug. That's pretty incredible to me, as long as they can reach the TV somewhat, which again allows you to store it away underneath a media console, so your top end can remain pretty clean, and that is super useful, right? It detaches or attaches, so you can have it on the TV or off the TV, your choice, right? But the superstar here is the HDR performance. In my time reviewing it, the HDR performance was just like leagues above anything else I think I'd ever seen at the time. And even still, it is the top of the top when we talk about HDR TVs. Really brilliant picture quality. Now, the S90C is at number 2. Number 2, unfortunately, because they have lower end quantum dot filtering, but you do get most of the experience of the Samsung S90C or S95C. Now, unlike the S95C, I truly believe the sound quality on the S90C is better, and it just rocks a little bit harder, and I think that's something that a lot of people will appreciate from the number 2 spot. So if you have that television, you still win either way. Now, number 3 on the list is the LG G3. The reason for this is because of the incredible peak brightness. The HDR is just tremendously beautiful, albeit the reds are dated. Unfortunately, with the innovation of quantum dots, OLED just took a turn in a different direction, and LG is at this point really left behind only with the color red. So if they can figure out how to get more purity, more vibrancy, more accuracy out of that red, then that's going to be better in the long run. But overall, motion is exceptional and the picture quality is tack sharp, so you will enjoy your experience. Now, beneath that is the Sony A95L. They have a bevy of motion issues, and while they might have been awarded by other publications as a king of television, the reality is it does have a ton of issues, which I did cover. Now, that being said, it does have a beautiful way of renditioning color and sharpness, and HDR is to die for. You probably, outside of the S95C, won't find a better TV for HDR. And that even goes above the LG G3. The G3 is just not doing HDR like Sony. So if you wanted to know between those two which one was the better HDR TV, A95L all day, every day for HDR over the G3. However, the overall picture quality of the G3 is better, and that's why it ranks above the Sony. So then we go to the next one, which is, again, number 5 on this list, and that's going to be the LG C3. Pretty much the exact same experience you have on the G3, but dimmer. And for that reason, it is below the Sony A95L because of the peak highlights that the Sony A95L can blast off. It's just not able to keep up. Now, from there, we have the TCL QM8. This is for people who do not want burn-in and you still want a massive television, deep black levels, excellent bright levels or brightness, right? I'm telling you, it has basically everything you want. And the remote is damn premium. I mean, all around, it's just a class act. The speakers are really darn good, very premium. You really honestly won't want for much more out of a television. And that is honestly the truth. So even above the Hisense U8K, which comes in at, I believe, the 7th spot. I've been losing count at this point as I'm starting to talk and explain, so forgive me if I'm getting the count wrong. You know where we are right now. But the Hisense U8K is just not going to produce as good a picture quality as the TCL when we talk about motion. TCL edges out Hisense in terms of motion this year, and unfortunately, Hisense did not, in my time reviewing it, have the appropriate brightness level like they were advertising. So maybe something they'll fix this year, but for those reasons alone, I feel like TCL is the better bet, getting well over 2,000 nits, where Hisense was struggling in the brightness category and area. Now, next on the list is the TCL Q7. This is an excellent alternative to the U8K and the QM8 if you didn't want to quite go up that high and spend that much. Still, you get most of the experience of the QM8. You just lack in the color vibrancy And that's really it. I mean, yes, black levels are a little weaker, but not by much at all. In a dark room, you're not really going to find yourself saying, damn, I really wish I would have made the upgrade, unless you're like ultra picky. And that's coming from me, the biggest stickler of all sticklers on YouTube and probably the entire internet when we talk about televisions. So in the world of audiovisual enthusiasts, I'm telling you right now, you're not going to have a problem with the TCL Q7, which is why it is where it is. Now, next on the list is the Hisense U6K. Again, this is a solid option for somebody who wants a television that, again, you don't really care that much about black levels, but you care about them. But at the same time, you want a big TV, but you don't want to break the bank. But you want quantum dot color, and you're not trying to like get stuck with some like crystal UHD color or like something crappy that isn't quantum dot. Then this is going to be your guy, and that is why it sits where it sits. Now, last but not least, we have the Sony X93L. Now, some people believe that it should rank a little bit higher, but Sony does not have quantum dots. And while I know that might be a little bit of a controversial thing to dock them for, that is a big deal because Sony used to have them on these LEDs and now they don't, and instead they're going the route of pushing them exclusively on their OLEDs, which I think is a darn shame because I feel like a TV like the X93L could destroy anything that their A95L is doing if they put the proper effort into it like we see out of Hisense and TCL. But why would they do that? Well, simply put, they wouldn't. They want you to pay $3,000 for an OLED that's 55 inches just to start and go up from there all the way up until I believe like the 77-inch, which goes for like $5,000 or whatever it is. So obviously it's an incentive to make the LEDs worse, and that is why they rank at the lowest of the low because frankly it's just dirty business and we don't really need it. But that being said, the motion is decent. Not great, still Sony, and Sony's motion is filled with artifacts and issues, particularly with horizontal panning motion and things of that nature, and they have not figured that out yet. But the picture quality is impressive. You do have decent highlights and stuff of that nature, so again, if you wanted a name brand, go for it. Sony is probably going to be the best at the LED level at the X93, so I wouldn't waste my time with anything else from Sony, but that's what I would say there. But that being said, those are pretty much the top ranked TVs. If it didn't make the list, it's probably not going to be a top ranker or something that I would recommend typically. Now, there are some discontinued TVs that also didn't make the cut. To be very clear, the TV in front of me right now, the Samsung S95B, is still the world's greatest TV right now, particularly rocking this day one firmware 1082. You won't find anything that beats it. I've tried, and nothing has beaten it at all. Like, 1082 is where it's at, and I am really sorry for everybody who has updated their televisions, or it just shipped updated. That does suck too. But the moral of the story is simply put, when some TVs launch, you might want to jump on them, but again, that is the whole purpose of making sure we do these reviews, verifying that they are where they are, and again, when we know something, we just kind of shout it out. Like, for example, the beautiful color change from 1082 to wherever we are today. I think we're in like the 15 or 1600s or whatever it is. But that part aside, just wanted to make sure you guys know what the proper ranking or tier list, if you will, on these TVs are. Thanks for watching the number one brand in honesty, and until the next video, I'll see you guys later.